emotional about it, but I'm just feeling a little emotional. So we are live. We're live. We're on YouTube and we're on TikTok. So we're about to get into it, y'all. First of all, I have a special guest with me today. Hey, Unc. I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Fantasia. Everybody say hi to Fantasia. I've had her, I was given her as a gift when I left my job. I didn't leave it, but I moved to a new location, and she was given to me as a gift from my coworkers and my manager. And the reason why she's so important to me is because of the note that comes inside of her. Like, you know how the little teeny babies, they come with the note inside. And the note and the card that they gave me, it was basically them telling me that whatever it is that I want, like the things that I want to go for, like because they knew that I was building my business. And um they saw me, like I started out, like, doing content on YouTube and Instagram. And so my coworkers, like they knew where my passions really were. But I wasn't full time at that time. And so when I left, they gave me this as a sign of like all of the things that you've dreamt about and all the things that you're working towards are going to come true. And so I brought her today. And I thought that I feel like she just matches the mood perfectly. I'm I'm having a hard time already, y'all, because I feel so emotional about this topic. I don't know what's going on. Thank you, Aunt. I don't know what's going on. It's like the most lighthearted, fun brand personality, but today, I don't know. I'm just kind of like in my feelings about it. And I think that what's happening is that it's like I feel like it's like a couple of different things happening. So I'm gonna try to talk about them. Hey Rico, I'm gonna try to talk about them and not be a blubbering mess. But a couple of things that are happening like right now. So I talked about before how I'm doing this challenge, and on the surface, my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers, right? That's what I want to have on YouTube. And so that's like the big motivation behind this. But what I've been realizing is that with each day I get better at hosting these lives. I get better at coming up with like what I want to talk about and sharing things. I feel like I've been getting better at just showing my personality and having fun and just kind of breaking out of the I guess like the image that I've kind of curated over time. And so hey, trash bag fashion lover. So it seems it's like a lot of different things, a lot of like evolution is happening, and I'm like realizing it in the moment, which is like a kind of wild, like when you like really sit back and think about it and just like reflect on how far you've grown and how challenging it is to show up and be yourself, be authentic, just have fun and be okay with being weird or different or quirky, like whatever it is about you that may not be um normal or what you see other people doing. And so it's like I'm realizing that that's what I'm doing in real time. But another thing that I'm recognizing with this is that I'm getting out the type of content that I've wanted to create for like months now at this point. Like I've been saying for months, I'm going to make content about the brand personalities. I'm going to talk about them and I'm going to share them. And what I'm seeing as I like have literally like I'm showing up every day. So I got to talk about something. But then outside of that, I'm also like seeing how the more that I share these things and the more that I talk about them, that people feel seen by what I'm sharing. And they feel like finally, like I have words to thank you, Unc. I have words to describe how I feel, or I have different ideas for how I can share my story, or these are the things that I have challenges with, or I didn't realize that this thing about me that I felt like was a weakness is actually a strength. And how each with each personality that I share and I talk about, people are seeing that. They're seeing themselves in it. So it's been it's been like it's been affirming each day, even outside of like the subscriber growth and the numbers going up. Thank you, Mask. The numbers going up, in terms of people viewing it, like outside of all of that, I'm really seeing how me showing up is important for the people who are going to consume my content. And that's it's an emotional it's an emotional thing. So that's I think I needed to get that out so that I could talk without my voice being all shaky and stuff. I haven't seen myself in any one of them. You'll see yourself in this one, Mask. Okay. You'll see yourself in this one. So before I get into it, so we're going to be talking about the jester today. And if y'all haven't been in my lives, or this is your first time in my lives, I have been talking about brand personalities. And so brand personalities are literally the different types of personalities that are represented within people's brands, right? When they are making content, and your colors and the way that you speak and the things that motivate you, what you value, all of these things have names, they have categories. And so each brand personality has different strengths and challenges. They have different characteristics, they have different things that stand out. And so I've been going through each of those. And what I've been sharing with people with each one is that your personality is in one of these. Okay, there's 12 of them. Your personality is in one of them. And even outside of the fundamental brand personalities, there are cousins within each fundamental. So we have the fundamental, which the jester, that's what we're talking about today. And then we also have their cousins, which are the other brand personalities or archetypes that are within the jester family. So I'm going to be breaking this down and talking about it. And if this is something that you feel like is you, then you'll be getting some really good information about how to represent your brand better, how to speak to the people that you want to speak to, what are the things that you should be highlighting, what are the things that are potential pitfalls or challenges for your brand personality. And the cool thing about them is that they're not just like this made up thing. They are literally the different types of personalities that we see represented in everyone. Everybody represents one or multiple personalities within these different archetypes. So I'm going to be talking about them. I'm breaking down the jester today. If you missed any of them, you can go back and watch them on YouTube. I've done, I don't even know if I can remember all of them at the off the top of my head, but I've done the creator, the explorer, the magician, the caregiver, the lover, and then today, I think today makes six, which is the jester, what we're talking about. So we're halfway through. I still have six more brand personalities that we're going to talk about, but that's what's happening today. That's what we're getting into. But before I talk about that, I got to talk about my confession. Okay, my creator confession for the day. Uh, Oh, this is another serious one. Okay, we're gonna power through it, y'all. So, my creator confession for today is that there are moments where I struggle with feeling like what I'm doing matters or that it has meaning. And when I feel like that, there's there's always a part of me that knows that that's not the truth. Like I know in the grand scheme of things, even in the small things, that what I'm doing matters. But there are also times where, especially when things start to get more mundane or when they start to get frustrating and like I'm running into like all of these different setbacks and challenges, and I feel like I have to keep starting over, or it feels like when I do one thing and something else comes up, like when it feels like it's taking me longer to get to, these particular like milestones that I want to reach, it starts to feel like is what I'm doing really meaningful? Does it matter? Does it make a difference? And then even sometimes, like, I know this might feel like surface level or superficial, but even sometimes when I post certain things, and I post the content, and maybe this is something that I'm super proud of and I'm really excited about it, and I feel like, man, this is really gonna be good, or this is gonna really be helpful, and then the way that it's received, or the response that I get from it is nowhere near what I would have hoped. Like, it's like basically like it's being released to crickets. When that happens, sometimes it feels like it doesn't have meaning, or it doesn't have an impact. And so when I have those moments, I don't always find something to counter it. And I think that's the part that was important for me to share. Like, sometimes I just have to keep moving. Like, I literally don't have, in the moment, I don't always have something that encourages me or inspires me necessarily, or makes me feel like what I'm doing matters. That's when I have to really lean on being disciplined and doing it anyway, and putting it out there, and just pushing and seeing, just like letting it be what it is, like not letting it stop me from doing what I got to do, even though the way that I feel about it right now is blah, and I hate it, and I just want to stop everything. So that's something that I know with my brand personality, which my fundamental is the creator. We struggle with that a lot of times, with feeling like where when things are good, they're really good, but then when things are low, it's low. Like, it's like an emotional roller coaster sometimes, of feeling like, okay, does this matter? And if people aren't really paying attention to me, or it's feeling like I'm pulling teeth to get people to notice what I'm doing, or it feels like I just keep getting setback after setback after setback, and that's where you'll be really low, right? And then all of a sudden, maybe you get like a new client, or maybe you get a contract, and or you get a video that gets a bunch of views, and now all of a sudden all these people are recognizing you, and so now you're back on this high, and you're feeling like, okay, I'm good now. Like, I know what I'm doing. I've been that girl all along. I don't even know why I doubted myself. Da 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 da. And then another low happens. Like it's literally like it's never just like consistent. And I think that the more mature you get, and the more um firm you get in what you're doing, it is not as dramatic, but just like having like the highs and the lows, I feel like that's just a natural part of being a creative person. Hey, solo man. It's like a natural part of being a creative person. And so I feel like it's not always like the acceptable thing to do, to say I have moments where it feels like what I'm doing means nothing. Yes. Oh, you got it, Lloyd. Yeah. I'm talking about the jester today. I'm talking about the jester. I'm glad it made sense. Y'all, I made this because I had the idea to have a collar, but I didn't own a collar. And so I was trying to think of like, how do I want to do this jester with my outfit without it being like too much, like too costumey. And so I had some fabric, like some leftover tulle. I have a bunch of fabric. Like, if I think of stuff, I could probably make it with the things that I have just like stored in my basement. But I got this, and then I had this you probably can't see it that good, but I got this like these this rhinestone strip. And so I just glued it to the fabric, and I made the collar, and I literally did all of this just for the live. I don't have This is like not even it's not even like legit secured. I have a safety pin in the back here, And I just like safety pinned it together so that it would form a collar. But I feel like this is one of the ones where I really put a lot of work into what I was going to wear for an hour. Because I'm taking all this off when this camera goes off. But you know what? The video will live on, and my efforts have not gone unnoticed because Lloyd got it. So I'm gonna live with that. I'm be good with that. Hey, Vixis. So okay, so are y'all ready to talk about the jester and get into the jester archetype? Yeah, it's and the funny thing is like it really does. It just makes me happy. It makes me happy, even if it doesn't really make sense to people to be dressed up for my dining room. Like, this is why I'm recording in my dining room. It may not make sense to some people, but it gives me something to do with my mind and come up with. So we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna roll with it. So, all right. So let's get into it, y'all. Let's talk about the jester. Okay. So um, I'm gonna read the description on the card and then I'm gonna get into the strengths and the challenges of the jester. So, joyfully living in the moment, the jester seeks to lighten up the world, able to bend perspective, twist meanings, and interpret events and people in surprising ways. The jester can speak truth to those in power. The jester appreciates beauty, change, surprise, and wicked intellect. Known for exuberant antics, the jester transcends tradition, convention, and societal norms. Boldly original, irreverent, and mischievous, this archetype sees life as a wild and crazy playground of opportunity. So, by that title or by that introduction, I wonder who feels like they might be a jester. Okay, you might be a jester, and the jester has some cousins that also got jokes. So we're going to get into those towards the end. So, if you are driven by a love for fun and a knack for lightening up the atmosphere and a unique ability to see humor in every situation, you might just be the jester. This is more than just making people laugh, it's about bringing joy, encouraging playfulness, and challenging conventions with a wink and a smile. Okay. So, some of the strengths of the jester are humor and wit. They are known for bringing laughter and joy to any situation. They are known for their playfulness and fun, encouraging others to relax and enjoy life. They are known for their creativity and innovation, thinking outside the box and approaching problems with a fresh perspective. They're known for their optimism and positivity, maintaining a lighthearted and positive outlook. And then they're also known, thank you, Simply. They're also known for honesty and their insight. So, speaking truth that others might be afraid to express and wrapping it in humor. So, those are the strengths. When you embrace your strengths, as a jester, you're recognizing your natural ability to uplift and entertain. Jesters aren't just comedians, they are bringers of joy and insight and challenging norms with a playful spirit. And so, in the beginning, I said that this is one of the ones that I was really excited to talk about because I feel like the jester gets not only misunderstood, which I'll kind of touch on in a second, but they also are underestimated. And I think that people underestimate how necessary laughter and joy is in the world. And not even just those things, but also how they are powerful tools for presenting us with the truth, like presenting a mirror to society, presenting a mirror to ourselves, allowing us to see who we really are in a way that we may not have been receptive to if somebody just, straight up said it, right? And so realizing what they are able to do naturally with humor and with joy and with laughter is something that I feel is oftentimes really underestimated. So this is another reason why I was like so excited to talk about this brand personality. So with every Personality, there's their strengths, okay? But there's also their challenges. So some of their challenges are superficiality, being perceived as not taking things seriously enough, avoidance, using humor to deflect from deeper issues, restlessness, struggling to stay focused on long term goals, boundary issues, overstepping or not knowing when to stop, and then also misunderstanding, having their humor misunderstood or taken the wrong way. So those are the challenges that they face as the jester, right? And listening to it, listing them out, you can definitely see how those things will start to show up. And so, recognizing and maintaining these challenges helps the jester to maintain their joy and playfulness while also being taken seriously when needed. And so, I think that one of the things that I'm realizing, especially when it comes to the avoidance, is that there are times where you just have to be direct with what it is that you want to say, or what it is you're trying to portray as the jester. So, and the thing about the jester and the playfulness and the wittiness is that sometimes because you want to present things in a way that is artistic and clever and witty and different, that it often is hard for people to recognize what it is that you're trying to say. Like take for instance when a comedian is up on stage, right? And they're doing stand up, or they have some kind of comedy special, and they tell a joke, and it seems like some people really get the joke, and then other times it just like literally goes over people's heads. Like, I know y'all seen this before, and it's always interesting to be the person who gets the joke. And then realize that everybody else does not. Like, it just like literally was like, wow, that went all the way over my head. And so I think that not to say that they feel like that's the only way that they can communicate, but the avoidance part is a way for you to present how you feel and what you think without having to be vulnerable. Okay. Like that's what's happening. You want people to read between the lines, and you want them to basically like understand it without you having to just outright say it, which is a way for you to kind of like play around with being vulnerable, but you're not really being vulnerable because you're not just expressing how you feel. You know what I'm saying? And so that can definitely be an issue when it comes to things that you don't want to leave up to interpretation. You don't want things to be confusing. You don't want things to be misconstrued. You need to be able to say it in a way where it may not be the sweetest, or it may not be the most comfortable for people to hear, or more importantly, it may not be comfortable for you to show that side of yourself to people or expose that side of yourself to people. However, it's going to be important for you to be capable of doing both. You have to be able to have your times where you are witty and playful and fun, because that's an important part of who you are, but it's not all of who you are. And when it comes to communication, building those relationships with people, you want to be someone who people can get to know deeply, right? You don't want to always be the person behind the mask. Okay? So, let's talk about let's get into the overview of the jester archetype. Okay. So, at the heart of the jester, there is a burning passion for bringing joy and a desire to see others smile. Like, you you seeing something that you say, or seeing somebody watch something that is just like a joyful moment, like it makes you smile. It makes everything that you said or done matter. Like, that smile is just like gold to you. So these individuals don't just see the world as it is, they see it as a playground filled with opportunities of with fun and laughter. They are highly playful and often find themselves in roles where their humor can shine. And if they're not in roles where their humor can shine, they will find a way to let their humor shine. Okay. So even if you're saying, like, I have a very serious job, or where I'm at right now, I don't really have a space to be funny, you're going to find a way. Okay. Like you're not capable of just not being humorous, even if it's at times where it's probably inappropriate. Okay. That's just who you are. And so when they are able to be in roles where their humor can shine, that's where they can make a significant impact on those that are around them. Okay. So, some of the things that you can do as a jester to create joyful, entertaining experiences is to be dedicated to that playfulness and that humor. Okay. Like, really not taking the fact that this is who you are for granted and recognizing what that does and what that brings to any space that you're in. So, being able to provide solutions, like even if you are able to bring up, hey, Ashane, you're able to bring up difficult topics in your workspace or in your business, or even just to society. If you're able to bring these things up in a way where people can laugh about it but they can also see the truth in it, that is a very valuable asset to have. All right. So, this archetype thrives on creating environments where people feel encouraged to let loose, to enjoy life. And it makes them important in industries like entertainment, which is like literally the first thing that I think most of us would think about when we think about a jester, hospitality, and consumer goods. So, literally, products, products. And then I'll get into some of the examples in a second of some brands that have the Jester brand personality. So, Jesters are not just about meeting expectations, they're about exceeding them in the most joyful ways possible. So, you're not just meeting the goal, but there has to be some humor in it, there has to be some joy in it, there has to be some laughter in it in order for it to really matter for you. So, some of the brands that represent the Jester are M&M's, especially I think about the M&M commercials, um, and Old Spice. Old Spice has some really memorable commercials. Like their commercials are there's there when I think about like amazing commercials, Old Spice is one of the first ones that comes to mind. Like you're gonna reference an Old Spice commercial, but the reason why M&M's makes me laugh is because if you think about M&M's, they were in a way promoting um cannibalism. Because why were the M&Ms eating each other? Like, why was that a thing? You know who else did that? Toaster strudel, or the toast, no, it was cinnamon toast crunch. And cinnamon toast crunch had they were like running and eating each other. So those are, when I think about them like being playful and funny, that's what I think about where my mind goes. But they have not only introduced products that bring joy and fun, but they also have a reputation for being humorous and creative. So from playful advertisements like Geico has some good commercials. Allstate also has some good, no, not Allstate, State Farm. State Farm has some playful commercials. Geico, between the two, I honestly feel like State Farm's commercials are more memorable. Allstate is serious. They're not funny. They're not funny. They're a different brand personality. I'm trying to think of which one they would be, but I can't off the top of my head think of what theirs is. But yeah, Geico commercials. Another one that I feel like doesn't get a lot of recognition for how funny they are is Burger King. Um, Burger King, Burger King and Wendy's, especially when it comes to social media, they are trolls, and they literally troll McDonald's. And I don't think that anyone has really tripped off this. There was somebody that maybe they posted it like on Twitter or something a while ago, but they were saying how Burger King literally just moves down the block to McDonald's. Like if you think about it, you don't see a McDonald's without a Burger King around the corner or down the block. Like it's always, or maybe let's say vice versa. So if there's a Burger King, there's a McDonald's nearby. And so what they do is that they wait for McDonald's to pick a location because McDonald's does really good with real estate. Like they pick good spaces for their restaurants. And so once McDonald's picks a place, right? They pick their corner. Then Burger King takes that as, oh, if they're moving here, then we just gonna move down the block so that we can basically like compete with them, but not really compete because they are not necessarily in competition with McDonald's. They're just trolling McDonald's. And then when they had whenever they have like whenever McDonald's comes out with something, Burger King just creates like their own Burger King version of things. So like you got the Big Mac at Burger King, and then what's the one the Big King? I think that's what it's called. The Big King is the Big Mac um of Burger King. So they literally just troll McDonald's. And when you look at their advertisements are funny as well. Like they're just like all jokes. So they are literally like a blend of the Jester and then also the Sovereign brand personality, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Not in a little bit, but I'll talk about that one of these days. I might do that one. Hmm. Maybe I'll do the Sovereign on Tuesday and then I'll show y'all how they kind of go together. Because it's a very interesting blend. So let's talk about the journey with your audience as the jester. So, one of the key aspects of the jester is their ability to build lasting, joyful relationships with their audience. They do this by consistently demonstrating humor and playfulness and creating a shared experience that feels both personal and entertaining. So the jester is not only an entertaining brand personality, but it's also a very like grounded, down to earth type of personality. Like they're the ones that when you think about the types of things that they would share or the types of things that they're willing to open up about, they talk about stuff that you can relate to, but you're like, wow, you said that in public, like you said that on TV. Like they're willing to talk about stuff and share things that that you can relate to, but you may not be the type of person who would be comfortable sharing it, which is a part of why they do it. Like they want to be able to have people feel seen and have that connection going. So this ongoing dedication is not just about offering products and services, but it's also about fostering a sense of joy and fun because that has to be in the mix of anything that you do. So, when you're overcoming the challenges of the jester, we talked about a couple of them, especially avoidance and feeling misunderstood or literally being misunderstood. Um, you want to balance the humor with the need for depth and seriousness. So, like I was saying, when this is your brand personality, you run the risk of not building deep and meaningful connections with people because you avoid them. Like you avoid being vulnerable, you avoid being real, you avoid letting people see the real you because of your different fears around that risk of being vulnerable, that risk of being open with people, right? And we all have our things, we all have our reasons why we may shy away from connecting with people, but the way that you do it is usually by deflecting or avoiding it and using humor. But in that, you risk not having your needs met of being understood, of having people understand the why behind what you do, the understanding where you come from and what things are important to you, what things may hurt your feelings. Like you have to be able to have those spaces and those relationships. And sometimes being able to include that in what you do publicly can can boost your brand even further and take you even further, because not only are you being funny, not only are you being entertaining and relatable, but you're doing it in a way where people can get to know the real you, and you can still be funny. So like one thing that interests me is the fact that, like, when you think about especially a jester, like the jesters, they wear masks. And the mask is a way to, disassociate and not to be connected. Okay. To not be connected to people too intimately. So the fact that the mask can also like literally be something, or not literally but like metaphorically be something that you use to hide the real you and to mask your insecurities, or mask the things that are challenging to you, mask your feelings. Like it's very interesting that those two things go together, and then that's also the challenge that you have as a jester. So just keeping that in mind, you that is important for you to have that balance, not just for the success of your brand and what you're building, but also just because you're a human who needs to have connections. You need to have meaningful connections with people. So the path of the jester, you're going to come up against people feeling like you're being superficial, and you at times can be superficial, right? Like they're not showing the depth, and you're not showing your intellect, you're not showing your emotions, you're not showing how you really feel. Like you kind of are just keeping it surface level. Another thing is the avoidance, which I've talked about before, and then also just the emotional toll of constantly being entertaining, because that would take a toll on anybody. Like even for me, I'm not a jester. I be funny sometimes though. I be funny sometimes, but I'm not a jester, unfortunately. But I even like talking on live for a while, I be ready to go. I'd be ready to go. I'm like, okay, I've had enough of this. I've done my job. I don't want to entertain anyone anymore. I don't want to teach nothing. I don't want to talk about nothing. I just want to go where people aren't looking at me and asking me questions. Like having to always be on is emotionally, just physically draining, mentally draining. Like it can be a lot if you're always on, if you're constantly performing or entertaining people or trying to make people laugh. So those are things that you have to navigate and be aware of as potential pitfalls and challenges for you as a jester. So, when it comes to connecting with your customers, hey Leon, when it comes to connecting with your customers, you tend to attract people who value humor, not a shocker there, creativity, and a playful approach to life. So, even though you are not necessarily attracting other people who are this brand personality, that's the thing that they're drawn to. Like, that's the thing that they want, that's the thing that they need and that they're looking for, because they are things that are necessary in life. Like we need to be able to have fun. We need to be able to be playful. We need that creativity. So your customers are buying into a relationship of joy and entertainment. Okay. So by consistently demonstrating humor and creativity, you can create a loyal following that appreciates your commitment to laughter and fun. So your people, they know you're going to come with the jokes. They know that you're gonna laugh. They know you're gonna kiki it up. They know that you're going to be the place where they get that joy. And one thing that I will say is that if you ever feel the urge to try to shy away from that, or try to get away from that because you feel like people won't take you seriously, that is where I would encourage you not to turn away from your brand personality because it's who you are and you can't I mean there's nothing you can do about that. That's just who you are. But that's where again I say that you should tap into the more vulnerable, the more transparent things and see how you can even present those things in a way that still brings humor and some like, some levity, some brightness to it. Like talk about the things that are hard and still bring in some of that joy. Like there's something that I learned today. I was listening to this speech by Chris Doe, and he was talking about building a personal brand. And one of the things that he brought up that I thought was really good is bringing in whenever you're like doing like your marketing, your branding, or even when you're speaking, to bring in facts, feelings, and fun. So if you bring in those three things, that's how you can capture people's attention from different groups, right? So you can use that same formula, that same approach. You're going to bring the fun because that's just who you are, right? You're going to bring in the feelings because whatever you're talking about is going to have people feeling a way. But then you can also bring in the facts, and that facts can be just who you are, what you're going through, what you're experiencing, what you're noticing. There was a there was a skit that SNL did that they just put out, and it was it was in response to the election results. And so they were the premise of it, they were talking about how how Donald Trump is basically like censoring or punishing the people who are publicly opposing him. I don't know exactly like what's happening. Because I have not kept up with it. I don't know exactly what's happening that to people who do speak up. But they were talking about how that's been what's going on. And so the thing that was so wild about this skit is that they started off like super serious, like literally even everything about the color, like they were dressed in like all like gray and black, like their background was kind of like grayscale, and they all looked really serious. And so they were talking about how they were disappointed in the results and how Trump is now censoring people who oppose him. And so at towards the end, they started talking about how they love Trump. So they were like, "We just want Trump. We just want you to know from the bottom of our hearts, Trump, we never opposed you. We never said anything against you. This platform SNL has always been pro Trump." Like they literally like switched it up to make it seem like they were never like they never had like Kamala on SNL or nothing like that, right? Which obviously if you watch SNL, you know that they're not being serious. But the fact that they took something that is serious and they took something that is for a lot of us a very like emotional and just like disappointing time, and they're challenging it with humor. And so like even something like that, like that deep down like most of the cast, especially the people that are actors, we know where they stood politically, and we know that they feel a way about what's going on and what's happening. And so their way of contributing is with humor. So that's something that like as the jester you are able to do, and you can do that masterfully. Like you can do that really well. So let's get into the brand positioning for the jester. So, in positioning yourself, jesters often adopt a bold and playful approach with a focus on humor and creativity. Their offerings are typically set at an accessible price range. So, this is another one of those brands where your thing is accessible. Your goal is to have people to just enjoy themselves, to have fun. Even when I think about the accessible and the price range, I think about Kev on Stage, who is absolutely a jester. Like that's absolutely his brand personality. And so his Patreon, to join his Patreon, it is like I think the lowest you can pay is like $3 a month. And that's been his a big part of like his revenue model for years now, literally for years, like since 2018 or slash 19 when they started the Patreon. And so that business model has been that's been what he's focused on, and it works because it is an accessible price range for a lot of people. Like I can give $5 a month, $3 a month to support what you're building, and then in return I get to be in a place where there's entertainment, where there's fun, where we're just kicking it, and I get to see like the humor and the creativity. So if you are a jester, especially if this is your fundamental, then your goal is really not to you're not trying to position yourself as like this exclusive premium type of person or type of brand, and that's okay, because again, everybody is not luxury, everybody's not premium. There are some people who where you are is you're more focused on it being accessible, and that's good, because if it matches your brand, if it goes with your brand personality, you will be successful in it. Okay. So that's and I feel like this is like a good place to like, pause for a second, because a lot of times you'll hear people tell you to charge your worth, right? Which again, I do not like that phrase. But they'll tell you to charge your worth, or they'll tell you that you can't grow or you can't be successful if you're only speaking to this size audience or this particular tax bracket, or the people are only paying this amount of money, right? Like there's always different commentary on what you should be charging and what you should be pursuing as you're building your brand. And so, one of the things that I am grateful for with the brand personalities is that you get to see that certain price points may not make sense for you, and that's fine. Don't lean into them. It's going to be way more work than what it's worth. So your focus as the jester is to provide an environment with your products and with your services where creativity and humor can live. You want people to have fun. You want them to feel like, you can be here. You want them to enjoy it, and you don't want them to be stressed out about the money. Like that's just not your people, that's not your thing. So the design and the marketing strategies are often meant to convey joy and playfulness, so using bright colors and um I mean, not really whimsical. I guess whimsical, but that's not the first thing I think about when I think about the jester. Just things that are just kind of like just fun and lighthearted, and all of those reinforce the playful and the entertaining ethos that you have. So some of the colors that the Jester brand should lean into are very bright, vibrant colors. Like I tried to be as colorful as possible. I had my bright pink. There were some other like accessories that I could have worn, but I felt like they weren't vibrant enough, so I didn't wear them. I had like this bow, and it was like a maroon and like a navy, and I was like, no, that looks too serious. I can't wear that one. But even like my bracelets, they're like bright, playful colors. The beads and then the little poodles that are on there. I wish that these were teddy bears, but it's okay. This is what they had at Michael's or Hobby Lobby. And then like the polka dots or the earrings where it's like all the colors you could think of. So being bold, being vibrant, being bright is a part of not only your brand colors and the imagery for your brand, but it's also some things that you should consider leaning into for your personal style as well. So some of the values of the jester is a desire for fun and joy. That is what motivates you. At the heart of everything that you do, those two things need to exist. Okay. You have a commitment to bringing laughter and lightheartedness and a sense of playfulness, even in things that are work related or things that are, product related or service related, whatever. And also bringing in positivity, which um, is something that I meant to touch on a little bit in the beginning, but the positivity part, Mm, Imma come back to that. Imma come back to that. So, here is how you want to make your community feel as a jester. This is how you should be making people feel. You should be making them feel joyful and lighthearted with a focus on fun. You make them feel relaxed and carefree, knowing that they can enjoy the moment. You want them to feel inspired and creative, seeing the world with a fresh perspective. And then you also want them to feel honest and insightful, appreciating humor that speaks truth. And that's one of those things. Hey, easy. That's one of those things where, especially when it comes to the truth, because that is something that you hold so dearly. Most jesters really appreciate honesty. Like, it's very, very important. Honesty is important, because without being able to be honest, you can't really be carefree. Like, you can't really experience joy. You can't really be in the moment if you're constantly trying to, act like whatever is there is not there. And one of their motivations with being playful is giving people a space to be honest. Hey, easy. So that's something that's important for you to make your community feel, because you have the ability to create a space where people can be honest because of the way that you present it. So when you're making connections as the jester, it's crucial to show genuine humor and playfulness. It's important to provide consistent entertainment and joy. Okay. Consistent, not constant. You don't always have to be funny. Okay. And then it's also crucial to communicate openly and honestly, making individuals feel lighthearted and valued. Okay. So, are y'all ready to get into some of the storytelling ideas that you should lean into as a jester? I honestly feel like of all the brand personalities, I feel like the jester may not have there may be the ones that don't have as much of a challenge with this one, but I'm hoping that as I share these that it'll maybe bring up some things that you haven't considered in terms of getting help allowing people to get to know you better, right? So, let's see, you can talk about a testimonial where a customer found delight and amusement in something that you created. You can talk about an experience where something like let's say like you do like greeting cards, which I follow somebody that does greeting cards, and I was surprised at how entertained I was watching this woman make handmade greeting cards. But anyway, you use how your witty greeting cards bring a smile to friends and family. You can talk about how something like some kind of kitchen gadget, especially if it's like a novelty thing, how it brings like a playfulness and enjoyment to something as simple as cooking. But one thing that I do want to share is something that, as the jester, you have the ability to do well is to turn something regular into a humorous moment. Um, One of the things that makes, especially when it comes to comedians, one of the things that makes comedians so cool and so effective is how they can take regular everyday moments and turn them into a joke. Like, some of the funniest things are the things that you never really trip off of because you do it all the time. And so sharing your insight or sharing something that you just like, you know what I just tripped off of? This and this. Like, when we were watching Love is Blind, especially when before like the reunion and all of the chaos ensued with Homeboy. Um and the kids, but there were the cast always drinks out of these gold cups. And up until this season, I had never noticed that those gold cups were in every scene. And so it was brought to my attention, and I'm sitting here, and every episode, every scene, they are drinking out of these goblets. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, why are they always here? And so the fact that it was pointed out, it made it impossible for me to watch the show without noticing it now. I was like, every time I see it, I'm noticing these gold cups. And it started to become even more funny when you started to see the different styles that the gold cups came in. Like some of them were like wine glass goblets, and then some of them were stemless goblets. I feel like there was one time where it was like a gold mug. So like everything is gold. Like I don't even know why that's the color that they chose, but everything is gold. So it's like little things like that, and being able to pick up stuff like that and notice it, that is a gift, and you should lean into that with your storytelling. Hey, soul of a man, you came on over to YouTube. Do you like it? It looks good, right? I love the sound over here. I love the sound over here. Okay. So let's get into some of the key phrases and words that you should be leaning into as the jester. So together we find joy, bringing laughter to every moment. Life is better when you're smiling, keeping things fun and lighthearted, finding humor in every situation, and spreading joy and creativity. Um, that's a good question. I'll answer that. I'll answer that in a second. I'll answer that in a second. So jesters, I want you to remember to balance your humor with moments of depth and sincerity. Each act of playfulness is a testament to your boundless joy and creativity. Keep laughing, keep entertaining, and watch as you create a world of fun and insight with every step. So, y'all really like jesters, like if I had to think about all of the different brand personalities, the jester is really one of my favorites. Like I appreciate and admire and low key a little obsessed with comedy. Like I don't know what it is, but I love comedy. I love humor. I love things that are just like funny and witty. I love the things that are like that make you think and that are clever. I don't know why that is, but that's just like the kind of person that I am. And so when I think about the jester and people who are just naturally that kind of person, or just naturally funny, and it really is effortless. Um, and then I also think about how hard we can be on the comedians of the world. I especially like in appreciating it as an art form. I I think that that makes me like want to cape for them even harder, just because what they do is not an easy thing to do. Like it's not, and they're so courageous and they're so brave, like to be willing to say, you might not like me after I say this, but I'm gonna say it. Like it has to be said. I have to get it out. I have to talk about it. I know it makes people uncomfortable. I know you may not be a fan of this conversation, but I got to bring it up. I got to talk about it because they are one of the people who are really like pushing for people to be real, which is important. So, yeah. Yeah. Hey Michael. So that's something that I love them. So this is the one, I think that's part of the reason why I just got so excited talking about this one. But yeah. So before I get into all the cousins of the jester, because we got some more people in the family, all right. Um, Soul of a Man asked me, do you think that YouTube has more to offer? And I'll say this. I think that YouTube has the reputation and the longevity that really makes me trust that my time is worth the investment. So I love the people that I've met on TikTok. I love the community that I have discovered on TikTok, and I appreciate how accessible it has made content creation for people. And honestly, it has been one of the things that as a platform has made me feel like I'm actually doing a good job and that my content is good because especially being on Instagram and sometimes with YouTube, even though YouTube, I don't ever go too hard on YouTube because I have never been very consistent with it. And if I am intentional, it has never been for long because I've been intimidated by the platform. But um, outside of those things that I've appreciated about TikTok, it still feels like they playing games. Like I don't got no fancy words for it. Like they just be playing games over here. And like even now, like at like right now as we speak, um no, they're not tarot cards. They're the brand personalities. Even now as I speak, I have a restriction on my live on TikTok. So right now it's not even like it's not eligible to be on the For You page. Like it's not being pushed out. Like nobody's seeing this outside of the people who already follow me or the people who um found it before, the restriction popped up. So like right now and that kind of stuff just irritates me like so much because it is it's like censored to the point where it's just nonsense. And that's aggravating. That's so aggravating. So, and I have not had those problems with YouTube. The biggest problem I've had with YouTube, honestly, is, if I use music. Outside of that, I ain't really had no problems with this platform. So it's made it easier for me to create. And so, and I don't have some of the distractions and like the things, all the different buttons and notifications that pop up on TikTok sometimes triggers me and then I'm all over the place. So it helps me to create more. It helps me to create more in the way that I want to on YouTube. And then the biggest thing that has made it worth it for me is that people, oh, hey, Kaylani. People watch the videos longer on YouTube. Watch time is so much better. So it just feels like the work that you're putting in means more. So yeah, that's how I feel about it. So I guess in a way I feel like it does have more to offer. But I still consider myself to be very new to YouTube just because I have not been committed to growing it like I am right now. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But let's get into it because now I have once again found a way to get past yeah, see now it's saying it again that I'm promoting something. So it's fine. It's fine. So let's get into the other brand personalities. So let's talk about the cousins of the jester. So you may have noticed some things about the jester that sounds like you, right? But you may not be the jester, which is the fundamental archetype, but you might be one of the jester's cousins. So the first one that you could be, first cousin coming to the reunion, is the clown. Okay. So the clown's strengths is an ability to create fun and to make others laugh and cry. Some of the challenges of the clown is danger of not being taken seriously, loud, garish, or obnoxious behavior. All right. So the clown wears a mask that covers its true emotions and allows for emotional distance needed to break taboos and explore social absurdity. So, representing amusement and whimsical engagement, the clown is a wise, prescient, I think I'm saying that right. Daring, simple-minded archetype. Okay. One of the cool things about this is that the mask that I referenced in the beginning of this is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's necessary in order to present information without being emotionally attached to it, which again is one of the strengths that you have is you speaking truth to power, right? But you got to remember that you can't always wear the mask. Like sometimes the mask has to come off, especially when you're talking about making connections with people.
Is the light supposed to be off in that room?
I don't know, Kyrie.
Did they turn off?
I don't know. The next one is the entertainer. Okay. So the entertainer strengths is playfulness, an ability to provide enjoyment and diversion for a passive audience. Some of the challenges of the entertainer is messages diluted by the passivity of delivery. Um, so, watering down what you say. And then sometimes another challenge is sensory temptations. So the entertainer is a fun loving performer using various tactics, humor, artistry, intellect, and shock. The entertainer is a people lover. But this archetype seeks almost constant stimulation, lives in the moment, and is drawn to sensory pleasure. So literally like whatever makes you feel good, whatever smells good or sounds good, you're drawn to that and stimulated by that, which can sometimes lead to you being all over the place. All right. The next cousin coming to the reunion is the provocateur. So the strengths of the provocateur are activation, awakening, powerful human insight, and fearlessness. Some of the challenges of the provocateur is boorish, rude, offensive tactics, manipulation for selfish reasons, and adrenaline slash cortisol addiction. All right. So the provocateur is an activator. This archetype stirs up latent feelings of discontent to expose the inhumanity that often accompanies complacency. The provocateur can be quite polarizing, but will often present with charisma and charm. So that's not one of the things that they put as a strength, but that can be a strength is your charisma or your charm. You could be that could be something that you have as well, which might be because of a combination of another brand personality. So the last cousin coming to the reunion is the shapeshifter. All right. The shapeshifter's strengths are changeability, adaptability, ability to navigate varying levels of consciousness, reinvention, and detachment. Some of the challenges of the shapeshifter is inconstant alliances and loyalty, instability, prioritization of personal agenda, fickleness, and mischief. So again, especially with the fickleness and you being easily swayed and moved in different directions, shapeshifter. But in general, that's just a trait of the jester in general. So, a chameleon at heart, the shapeshifter can move in and out of any situation with ease and style, sometimes acting as a catalyst to help others get past their obstacles. What was that? To get past their obstacles, the shapeshifter challenges them to question their assumptions and beliefs. All right. So, if you want the full breakdown, because there's more, and I have a full description of not only the jester, but all the cousins of the jester, then you can go to the link in my description box and I'll be linking it directly to the jester brand personality and all the information that you need to find out if this is your brand personality. So that's all of them. I'm going to go through them one more time. So you can be the jester, which is the fundamental brand personality. You can be the clown. You might be the entertainer. You might be the provocateur, or you might be the shapeshifter. And if you feel like you're a little bit of all of the cousins, then it's most likely that you are the jester. Like that's probably what's happening, because the fundamental archetype has its personalities, but it has a little bit of all of the cousins in it. But if you feel like you're really more closely related to one of the other cousins, then the jester is not your fundamental. It is one of these is like your complementary. So you might have a little bit of an entertainer or clown or shapeshifter within all of your different brand personalities. All right. So is there anybody who feels like they're the jester? I know like off top who's definitely the jester, and that's Mask. This is you all the way. What's funny is that in reading all of them, I see a little bit of all of them. Like you're definitely just you're the jester. Now you probably got some other ones too. I know for a fact that you have some other brand personalities, but the jester is definitely like your main one. But yeah, y'all, these are all of them. I want to uh, I'll be updating the blog post, because some of the things that I mentioned, some of the examples that I gave, they're not on the blog, but I will mention them. And if you feel like this is your brand personality, I would really encourage you to look at the ways in which these other brands, these other products, and these other personalities are monetizing, because you might be able to find some inspiration for what it would look like for you. And so that's the thing that, like, that's my message for the jester, because every personality has its challenges when it comes to learning how to monetize, learning how to take their skills and their gifts and infuse it in their business. And sometimes what happens, there's a couple of things that might happen. Sometimes, like, the business that you go for, it doesn't leave room for your humor. Like, you might start leaning towards being more serious, or you might lean to just not necessarily like utilizing the fact that the humor, the playfulness is a strength, and your business doesn't have like that joy and that playfulness that it needs to be believable. But something else that can be a problem is the fickleness and the difficulty staying focused or maintaining like a commitment to things, especially when it's the things that will get you what you want. So the thing that I want to support the jester in with learning what your personality is, accepting it, and then also giving you some inspiration for what it could look like for you to be able to highlight this and showcase it in a way that also allows you to make money doing it. And it doesn't have to be the traditional route that you think of when you think about funny people. Like, you may not be a stand-up person. That may not be your thing. You may not be like the typical comedian, but you are a person who brings that humor and that playfulness and that lightheartedness to the things that you do or the things that you create. So, just be encouraged and know that you can be who you are and make money while doing it. So I'll do my best to make sure I include those inspirations and those ideas. And as I find more, I will add them to the document, because each brand personality, as I learn more and I discover more examples and more useful information, I'll be adding those to the blog post as well. So come back from time to time and see what I've updated, what I've added to it. And that's it, y'all. So that's the jester. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing the rebel, and the rebel is another one of my brand personalities. It is not fundamental one, but it is another, like, it's like my complimentary one. I like to say that the rebel is like my attitude. But there's one of the cousins that's in the rebel family that is more aligned with who I am. So I'm not a full blown rebel, but I'm in there. I got some tendencies. So I'll talk about that one tomorrow. And then Tuesday, we'll be talking about the sovereign brand personality. All right, y'all. So I love y'all. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope y'all have a great rest of your night. And then also, that you kick back and relax on the holiday, especially if you have it off. I hope that you do. And I will talk to y'all tomorrow. Bye.